Now, this is what I want you to go to next. 5 things we work on mechanically. First, you work on your technique skills. How to fire that jab. How to throw that straight right hand. How to fire a counter punch or a counter kick. Remember this system because you can't beat it. You work on technique skills first. Second thing you work on is your what we call your hitting skills. How do you hit? How do you make contact? How do you work on your power? You know, the pivot shift, the waist pivot. Everybody got it?
Sir.
Whether it's a kicking and punching. The third thing you work on is you work on what we call defensive skills. Then there's 2 more steps, and this is where people get lost in the martial arts schools. Next thing you work on is what we call defensive sparring. Too often, once you know how to hit, you know how to block, next thing the teacher has got you to do is got you sparring. A lot of times they got you sparring before you know how to block. Or you spent 90% of your time throwing kicks and punches, and maybe 10% of your time on defense, and they got you sparring. So you kind of have a handicap. So now we're going to do what we call a little defensive sparring. This is the 4th step. So you know how to punch, you know how to punch, you know how to cuff, you know how to roll the right hand. We got our defensive skills down. So we know how to fire, we know how to hit, we know how to block. Now, next step, let's ease into a little defensive sparring. All right, face me, Phil. All right, now watch. I'm gonna move around, okay? And you don't know what's coming. See? I may throw a jab, okay? I may double jab, see? I may just throw a right hand, or I might throw a 1-2. Just like sparring, you know what's coming. Single jab, double jab, straight right hand, or a 1-2 combination. Everybody got it?
Sure.
All you gotta do is work on your defensive skills. But instead of standing in a stationary format, okay, or what we call a stationary posture, I want you in a moving posture, see? So one person is almost keep giving him different angles, and move side to side. It's a little hard for us to circle each other. Does that make sense, everybody? Okay. Now, I'll come at you first.
Sir.
Now, when you first start this drill off, this is a defensive sparring drill. I want you to move it between 1/2 and 3/4 speed. Is that clear, everybody? No full speed drills. Okay, now, I'm coming at you first. You're working on defensive. So one side's offense, the other side's defense. All right, you don't know what's coming. Let's see what happens. You do a little cuffy motion. Boom. That time he cuffed and he rolled. He rolled. 1-2. Roll. 1-2. Good. Straight roll. Did everybody see what we're doing?
Yes, sir.
Nobody's going to try to all over the guy.
You just got your black belt back, Phil.
He's easy, see? He's from South Florida, okay? They do things different in the South. A little slower down there. Okay. All right, let's go. Hey. He's being good to you because he's got the same hairstyle. Listen up. All right, one side moves. I want you to go for about 30 seconds. Okay? The coach, okay? The coach is working with the fighter. The coach is doing all the firing. The fighter, you're working on defensive sparring, your defensive skills. Okay? And then switch. Does everybody understand?
Yes, sir.
This is called defensive sparring. Does everybody understand the difference between regular sparring and defensive sparring? All right, let's go. When you roll that shoulder, get that right hand up in front of the chin. Sorry. Listen up! All of a sudden, you find yourself thinking. That means you're conceptualizing. You're seeing word concepts in your brain, or you're seeing picture images. That's called the conceptual level of consciousness. When you're in that conceptual mode, you can't fight.
Sir.
There's a couple guys yesterday sparring. I said, you kept thinking, you kept thinking. You're planning your next move. You're anticipating what you think he's about ready to do. You've got to be in what we call a fluid level of consciousness. See? So there's basically 4 levels of consciousness. You got the central level of consciousness, then you got the perceptual level of consciousness, then you got the conceptual level of consciousness, then you got the abstract level. That's where you think in principle. You got to skip that 3rd level and go to sort of an impulsive level. Well, scientists say there's a plasmic level, but I don't want to get into that nonsense where you start reading somebody's mind. Right? But whenever I'm thinking of word concepts, or I see my 3rd eye, that little mental eye starts to come into play, and I'm starting to see things like watching TV inside my head, your timing goes right down the toilet. You can't fight when you're using that mental eye. See? You got to use the impulse. Impulse. The impulse is in here. You got to function from here. Is that clear, everybody? Everything's an impulse. Impulse. So as soon as you feel that mental eye come into play, and you start seeing a picture image, you start noticing you're anticipating, or you're planning your next move. All right. You're not sure what's happening. Jab out. Don't just step back. But I want you to just step back, and just kind of wave it off a little bit. Or stick your hand out. Where you at? Face me. Sometimes I do what we call post. I just kind of stick your hand out like that. See, it's like an obstruction. We call that post. I just kind of post, walk around. Come back in there. Got post. You have anything? Get used to doing that. Don't hang there and get hit. All right, go.